Hey there, we are recapping our series on habits. So we're going to be touching in on all the high points that we addressed in the last week or so, talking about how to up-level our game in terms of habits. Since habits are 40% of what we do, 40% of our life is made up of things that we do habitually. Our brain works for us, we get into autopilot, and we create things repetitively. And looking at whether or not that is steering you into what it is you want in your life or whether it's steering you away from it is something we've been doing this last week. So whenever we complete a series, I like to go back and recap some of the high points. It does multiple things. One, the review of it, the repetition of it helps lock it in for you. Just the retrieval of it in your own brain. Like, oh yeah, we went over that and now I'm repeating it, retrieving it in my brain. That helps lock it in for you too. And then if there are any that you missed, you get to catch in and see some of those. So for the next couple days, we're going to be reviewing some of the high points from our series, Creating Healthy Habits. So first thing, we actually went through the book, Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I want to go over with you guys, kind of recapping the first 3 of his 7 habits. So one thing I will say is that habits make it possible for us to do so much more without expending mental energy. Your brain is always looking for how to serve you, how to make things more efficient, how to automate things for you. And habits are one of those things that end up creating a lot of that automation for us. But a lot of times we end up falling into habits that it's serving us at some level, or our brain would not be computing it that way, it wouldn't be steering us that way. But a lot of times it has side effects that we actually don't want in our lives. So just being able to take a look at, assess, what are we doing on a habitual basis? What are we consistently doing over and over again? And do we want those habits, or do we want to replace them with something that is actually creating for us what we really, really want in life? So if we had to be consciously aware of the millions of micro decisions that would happen on a daily basis, we just really wouldn't get anywhere in life. So creating habits are one of the ways that we automate. So think of habits as default. It's kind of like what your brain goes to in default mode. So Warren Buffett puts it like this: the chains of a habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. So anything that we do repeatedly, we form neural networks that it actually locks it in stronger and stronger and stronger for us. So if we can look at what is it that we're doing on a consistent basis and catch things that are steering us down a path that we don't want and replace it with something that's really going to serve us in a very productive way, is super helpful. So as humans, we are by nature habit driven, and over the course of the next couple days, we're just going to review in on some of the habits that we've been talking about. So 7 habits of highly effective people. Let's jump right in. Habit 1 is to be productive. Productive and proactive. So that is where you're steering into taking responsibility for things, you're initiating a lot, and it's driven by your values. So when you can get into a place where you're like, I'm going to be proactive, I'm going to take action, that is a huge, huge, huge habit to start to get into. So proactive individuals focus on their efforts and on the things that they can control. And we end up touching in on this on a lot of our series, but looking at what you can control is so productive and proactive in your life. It's going to steer you into things that you really, really want, rather than being either passive or reactive. Being proactive, centered around your values, and being in action, like moving things forward, super, super helpful. So ironically, the more that you focus on things that you can control, the more your abilities and your skills will improve. Habit number 2. So number 1 is proactive. Number 2 is begin with the end in mind. So this is that whole idea of reverse engineering. When you begin with what it is you want to create, you can see it, you can envision it, then being able to work backwards to go, like, reverse engineer the thing. Like, if this is where I want to go, what are the steps that are going to get me there? And that's a fabulous way to be able to create rhythms that are going to work for you. So it's a lot of what I do in coaching. By the way, my name is Tally. I'm a life and personal development coach, and I work with leaders to create lives of overflowing impact in the world that are centered in a place of joy. Really all about getting you aligned to who it is you most truly are, get you firing on all cylinders, and get you creating a life that you love living. And one of the ways that I work with my clients, whether it's in group or one-on-one, is to get clear on what it is you want to create, and then be able to reverse engineer back out of that. Go, okay, what is going to help you get to that place? And often it's putting habits in place, things that you can do on a consistent basis, weekly or daily routines that are going to steer you into creating that, and then just getting it to the place where you start to fall into that habitually, so you don't have to think through everything all the time. You've got habits in place that are moving you toward the thing that you want. So beginning with the end in mind is number 2, and you start creating your reality out of that. It's awesome. Number 3 is first things first. So in this chapter, Covey talks about, he asks 2 questions. One is, what's one thing that if you could do regularly, one thing that you can do regularly that you're not currently doing right now, that it would improve your personal life? So what is one thing you're not doing right now that if you did it regularly, it would improve your personal life? And the second one, really similar. What is one thing that you're not doing right now that could improve your business or professional life? Just one thing that if you implemented this and you were consistent with it, it would make a difference in your life. So personally and professionally. And then we're going to go into habits, the next 3 habits tomorrow, review those. But hopefully that's super supportive for you, and that's the activation for today. So what is one thing, and maybe you did this with us on the day that we actually taught this one earlier last week. One habit, and is it working? Is it working for you? Is it something that as you implement it, maybe you just need to refresh back into it? Maybe look at, one of the things I do with my clients a lot of times is when they try something and they're like, yeah, it's kind of working. We look at, okay, what's in the way? What is it? Is it a goal that you need to change? Is it the time of day that you're doing it? Is there something you can do to set yourself up for success with it? Like, is it setting something out that will be a cue, a reminder for you to put a notification on your phone maybe? What is it that's going to set you up and support you into being able to create that habit? So pick one thing personally and one thing professionally that if you implemented this into your life, it would make a difference. If you inserted this habit into your life, it would make a difference for you in your personal life, and then one for your professional life. So would love to hear what it is you guys are coming up with, what you guys are playing with. If you have any questions at all about habits, please feel free to message me directly and we'll work it into our review. And I hope you guys have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. We'll see you again tomorrow reviewing creating healthy habits to create a life that you love.